Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. Today is January. It's July 7th. And I need a calendar. I'm glad to be with you guys today, now that everybody knows where my head is. We are actually going to do something fun and start um, recording on YouTube or sharing on YouTube. So let me get that going. So any of our friends that want to hang out with us on YouTube can do that. Boop, there we go. Just give me 1 second. I've got to get it to pull up and then turn it off, or you're going to hear an echo sound. But this way, everybody can join us live if they want to on YouTube. And I've got to get it to pull up and then boom, there we go. Okay, guys. I got to get it together, man. It's Tuesday.
Deep
It's
breath.
TNT. All right, guys. Thank you again for being here. And a very special hello to anybody that is joining us live on YouTube or maybe even after the fact on the replay. We're glad that you are hanging out with us. And a very special welcome to anybody that's joining us for the very first time. We are really glad that you are here spending a little bit of time with us today. This is TNT. I want you to consider this your standing invitation to the hottest ticket in the notary business. TNT goes live every week because your business doesn't take a summer break, and neither do we. We're here to sharpen your strategy, call out what's not working, celebrate what is working, and make sure the decisions you're making are moving the needle. Show up ready. This isn't a vibe session, it is a work session. It's an Ask Me Anything style call where no questions are off limits. Questions in the chat may or may not be answered. We are going to prioritize folks that raise their hand, and you can find the raised hand feature at the very bottom of your Zoom screen. Also, check the chat for room etiquette or any announcements, any links that you guys might need that we share, especially here at the top of the call when we are making all of our announcements. Now, first, let me introduce myself. I'm Jen Neitzel. I am the author of On the Move, the creator of the 5 Point Marketing System at Marketing for Notaries, and co creator of the Certified Notary Trust Delivery Agent Program. And I am here with the 2026 Notary of the Year, the co hostess with the mostest, Laura Beaver. Hi, Laura.
Hello, Jen.
How
It is
was
a
your July 4th weekend? Did you guys have a great time?
We did. We had barbecue and the kids swam in the pool and
Nice.
we had little baby fireworks, the kinds that don't make
Yeah.
very much noise for the
Yeah.
kids. And yeah, it was a great time.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you had some good family time. We did too. And guys, we are supported every week on this call by the president of the California League of Independent Notaries, Mr. Matt Miller. Hey, Matt, you're going to be back in a few minutes with some announcements for us. We've got some exciting news coming from you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are also our special guest today. So get ready. I'm going to go over these announcements really quickly, and then we will get you talking about all these legislative updates. Laura, tell us about your new book, The Compassionate Notary.
I would love to. This book is for those notaries who are working in hospitals, hospice, or doing homebound signings. They are working with vulnerable signers. The Compassionate Notary is the field guide I wish I had when I was doing those assignments 20 years ago. It's about doing the work well and about protecting your signer as well as protecting yourself. And you can find that either on Amazon, and the link will be in the chat, or at my own website, coachmelora.com/books.
Thank you. And if you guys are in the book market and you don't have a marketing plan, I suggest checking out my book called On the Move, the relationship driven 5 point marketing system for mobile business success. You can find that on Amazon. Matt will throw a link in the chat for you. Now, as you know, Laura and I have created the Certified Notary Trust Delivery Agent program, and we are holding our next free webinar this week on the 10th. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 p.m. Eastern. Registration is free, and the link is in the chat. If you are interested in learning about the estate planning opportunity, we would love to see you there on the 10th. Now, I do have a special message for everybody from the National Notary Association, specifically about all of these scams that are happening online. If you would please report any suspicious inquiries to the NNA support team immediately using their Contact Us form so they can continue to identify patterns and take appropriate steps to reduce the misuse of their Find a Notary and signing agent platforms. So if you get a strange request coming in from one of the NNA platforms, Find a Notary or Signing Agent, please report that on the contact form that Matt just threw in the chat for everybody. Now, there's a state conference for notaries coming up. So if you live in Oregon or you can get there, listen up. That is the first state conference for notaries hosted by the state of Oregon, and it's happening August 13th and 14th in Salem, Oregon. It's $275 to attend, which includes lunch and dinner, and you can register at the link in the chat. Now, another notary event that's happening in August is the Notary Family in person event. It's in Antioch, California, August 8th from 11 to 3. Our very own Matt Miller is going to be a speaker, Jeff Clark, Joyce Gonzalez, Laura Bewer. I
Maybe,
guess, huh?
maybe
Maybe, if
if
there's
there's
room.
room.
If there's room for Laura, they're going to try and squeeze her in. I have a feeling they're going to make that happen, Laura. There's also going to be a guest speaker on retirement planning and insurance. So registration is $25 to attend. You don't have to be a notary family member. The link is in the chat to join. And speaking of the notary family, they have an upcoming Zoom meeting. If you're interested in finding out more about them, that's happening tomorrow, July 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Laura Bewer is definitely going to be speaking at that one. You are their special guest tomorrow, right, Laura?
I'm their special guest. I'll be
Special guest.
talking about the compassionate notary and vulnerable signers.
Perfect. Awesome. Great subject. So register at the link in the chat if you would like to attend that on Zoom. And then next Monday, July 13th, our friends over at Notary Stars are
Yeah.
hosting their Notary of the Year ceremony. Now, you do need to register to go to their free Monday General Mentorship Call, which is where they're going to be celebrating their Notary of the Year. You can do that at notarystars.com/MGM to get the link to join. This is normally the space that Laura and I would be talking about estate planning with our Notary Stars friends. But they are, because Laura and Matt are going to be away at a conference, they're hosting their special reveal of their Notary Star of the Year. And if you're not aware, the current Notary Star of the Year is our very own Celicia Young Jones out of Jacksonville. So we're really proud of her for that. Now, Laura, I know you wanted to bring a special message to everybody from the American Guild of Notaries Public.
I did, and we will put the link in the chat. This is run by Lori Ham. She is the founder, and here is a way for you to know, to be vetted, that you are confident and competent. It's really the competency of your notary skill. And, we can be members of the NNA, we can be members of uh, Notary Stars. We can be members of many different communities, but none of those communities actually test us to see what our knowledge level really is and offer a description for that. So, for instance, I'm a master notary, some are professional notary, some are apprentice notary. This is a great conversation starter as well to be able to say, I didn't just take training, I didn't just attend calls or conferences, I've actually been tested and proven to be at this level.
Yeah,
So if that's something you're interested in doing, they don't provide training, they do the testing and certification part of it.
yeah.
American Guild of Notaries Public, and their link is in the chat.
Thank you, Laura. Well, we have a very special update today because we have reason to celebrate today, and then we also have a very special update. Matt Miller every quarter does a legislative update to keep us up to date on new legislation happening around the country. And if you've been paying attention in the last few months, then you know that this is a guy that can get things done. Matt, welcome. And thank you for being here to share all the exciting news and updates that are happening in the notary world across the country.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me today, Jen. And guys, I've got a full presentation for you today. I've got 7 new laws this summer that I want to talk about. I could not skip any of them, so please pay attention because I'm going to go through this at a consistent pace. All right, let me share my screen so you can see what's going on. Here we go. All right. First up, let's make sure our screen is sharing. It
Got it.
is. Okie dokie. Okay, so first up, Utah. Um, oh no, this didn't get my new updates in it. Okay, we're going to skip Utah because I think we talked about these last April, and we're going to skip all the way down to Rhode Island. This is a very interesting bill. So Rhode Island Senate Bill 2715 enacts 3 notary-relevant additions, which are intended to address rising incidents of deed fraud. Yes, deed fraud. You probably have heard about this. Number one, it makes a recorded instrument a suspicious document when the name or the commission information of the notarial officer who purported to acknowledge or verify it does not match official records, and authorizes the recorder to delay the filing, refer it to law enforcement, and notify the notarial officer of the reason of the finding. Rhode Island notaries should expect their commission data to be cross-checked at recording and should ensure their seal, signature, and commission information are accurate and current to avoid being flagged or contacted for a fraud inquiry. 2, this bill permits municipalities to maintain a publicly searchable log capturing each notarial officer's name, commission number, and jurisdiction for every recorded land records document, so deeds, in other words. This increases transparency and the traceability of notarial acts on Rhode Island real estate properties and other real property-related instruments. 3, most significantly, it amends the Uniform Law on Notarial Acts to expressly authorize a notarial officer to refuse to perform a notarial act when the individual fails to provide information sufficient to conduct identity proofing or refuses to consent to pay for identity proofing. So this is a clear, statutorily protected refusal ground that strengthens the notary's gatekeeping role against deed and title fraud, particularly when it comes to remote and electronic transactions. We really support this because it gives the notary something to point to when they need to say no, and the signer wants to know why. Next up, Virginia. Virginia, House Bill 1262 significantly strengthens enforcement of Virginia's prohibition on notaries public engaging in the unauthorized practice of immigration law or advertising themselves using foreign language titles such as notario, notario publico, and licenciado. The bill arms the Attorney General, with civil investigative demand authority to proactively investigate suspected violations. It increases civil penalties from $500 to $2,500 for the first offense and from $1,000 to $5,000 for subsequent offenses. And it expressly authorizes the recovery of restitution, attorney fees, and investigation expenses in enforcement actions. Now, if you guys have been following me, you remember last summer, there was a big bust right here in San Francisco of a notary who was advertising themselves as a notario publico. And offering assistance on immigration documents. And they were sued from the city attorney, and the judgment was well into 6 figures, and they were stripped of their notarial commission for 10 years. So the CLN supports these efforts to combat notarial fraud because it exploits immigrant communities by fostering the false belief that American notaries public are the same as notario publicos in Latin American countries. So Virginia, be aware. Next up, also Virginia. House Bill 163, Senate Bill 316. These were sister bills, and this is very significant. It substantially strengthens the professional framework for notaries and electronic notaries by establishing mandatory education, testing, and record keeping requirements. The required coursework emphasizes core notarial law and procedures while recognizing that modern notarization increasingly depends on accurate identity verification and informed judgment by the notary. A notable feature of this bill is its targeted focus on real estate fraud and the financial exploitation of elderly persons. By mandating dedicated instruction for both new and renewing notaries, this bill treats fraud prevention as a continuing obligation rather than a one-time orientation topic. Now, this approach acknowledges that fraud schemes evolve and notaries serve as frontline safeguards in transactions involving real property and vulnerable individuals. The courses will either be developed by or approved by the Secretary of the Commonwealth. This means that the Secretary will either offer courses or approve courses from private providers. Now, we'll have to wait to see which option the Secretary chooses to implement for the course requirement. Now, this bill takes effect July 1, 2026 for most provisions. However, the mandatory education provisions will take effect July 1, 2027, giving time for the Secretary of the Commonwealth to roll out education programs or find and approve private vendors of education programs. This new law also requires journals for paper-based notarial acts, and we did check, and that includes both paper or electronic notary journals, which establishes a uniform 5-year retention period and conditioning the issuance of a physical notary seal on the proof of your commission. So you're going to have to prove that you're a commissioned notary before you can get a seal now. This is very much what California has been doing for years. These provisions reflect a comprehensive effort to modernize notary regulation by pairing education and prevention with record keeping and enforcement tools designed to protect the public and reinforce the confidence of notary acts. Next up, Arizona. Senate Bill 1479, another major change in notarial law across the country. Effective July 24th, in an effort to address, again, deed fraud, SB 1479 requires notaries for specific real property-related notarial acts and powers of attorney to comply with a mandatory thumbprint requirement that is virtually identical to the California Journal thumbprint law. For those who are not familiar, here are the 4 elements. 1, requires a notary to obtain the signer's right thumbprint in the notary's journal when notarizing a deed, quitclaim deed, deed of trust, or other document affecting real property, or any powers of attorney documents. 2, it directs the notary to use the signer's left thumb or any available finger if the right thumb is unavailable, and to note the substitution in the journal. 3, requires the notary to indicate in the journal when the signer is physically unable to provide any thumbprint or fingerprint and to explain the physical condition preventing it. And 4, exempts trustee deeds resulting from judicial or non-judicial foreclosure and deeds of release and reconveyance from the journal thumbprint requirement. Now, Arizona notaries, while this is restricted to certain documents, just like our law is in California, the best practice is to get the thumbprint for everything, because then it becomes part of your process and you don't forget when you are notarizing one of these required documents. Finally, Senate Bill 1479 also conditions a journal thumbprint exemption for remote notarizations on 2 safeguards. 1, inclusion of the signer's ID credential number in the journal, and retention of the audiovisual recording of the remote notarial act for at least 7 years. And I want to point out, this is longer than the 5-year mandatory recording retention period for other remote notarial acts. But together, these coordinated amendments reinforce evidentiary reliability in remote real property notarizations while avoiding an impractical fingerprint requirement in the remote environment. Is anyone noticing a trend here? States are ratcheting down requirements for remote and electronic transactions because we're finding that's where a lot of the fraud is coming from. And I think that you're going to see a lot of states follow suit in the years to come. Next up, the two bills that everyone likes to talk about, fee bills. Connecticut, Senate Bill 294. Interestingly, this bill was introduced by the Judiciary Committee as a whole, not by any one individual or individual legislator. This updates Connecticut's apostille process. The new Section 11 is the centerpiece. It formally defines apostille authentication and Hague Convention and authorizes the Secretary of State to issue apostilles and authentications in electronic format, also known as the e-app, unless prohibited by the Hague Convention or federal law. And so far, there are none. The Act expressly provides that an electronic apostille or authentication carries the same legal force and effect as its paper counterpart, and that the $40 fee, yes, $40, or $15 for child adoption-related documents applies regardless of the format being issued. The Secretary is also empowered to adopt regulations governing electronic issuance procedures. Senate Bill 294 also makes two notable changes to notary law. First, Section 3-94M has been amended to grant the Secretary of State explicit rulemaking authority to adopt regulations specifying the processes and procedures for a warning, a reprimand, a suspension, or revocation of a notary's commission, and a provision that formalizes and adds due process structure to the disciplinary framework. That's a win for notaries. Due process is always a good thing, guys. Gives you an opportunity to argue your case. Second, the maximum fee has been doubled from $5 to $10 per notarial act, and the former flat 35 cents per mile travel fee has been replaced with a variable rate tied to the IRS business standard mileage rate, which ensures that the travel fee keeps pace with actual costs of delivering service without requiring future legislative action, and provides meaningful economic relief for Connecticut notaries whose fees have not been updated in many, many, many years. Next up, the one we've all been waiting for, California Assembly Bill 1597, which was authored by Assemblymember Leticia Castillo from SoCal, raises maximum fees a California notary may charge for core notarial services like acknowledgments and proofs of deeds from $15 to $20 per signature, jurats from 15 to 20, deposition services from 30 to 35, including the associated oath and deposition certificates from 7 to 12, and certified copies of powers of attorney under Probate Code 4307 from 15 to 20. This bill also leaves untouched the longstanding prohibitions on charging fees to notarize vote-by-mail ballots and applications for U.S. military benefits. The fee increase is grounded in legislative findings that reflect inflation and rising costs of supplies, transportation, insurance, and continuing education have made a fee adjustment necessary to preserve access to notarial services, a first increase to these statutory caps in 10 years, and a meaningful recalibration that helps notaries recover ground lost to inflation. Now, a few things I want to mention about this bill that I've learned from our Raise the Fee campaign here in California. First, thank you to all who participated. We had supporters from all corners of the industry speak out to help push this bill across the finish line. And guys, without your engagement, we definitely would not be here having this conversation right now. So thank you from everyone who participated. And that's because legislation does not happen just because you want it to. It takes energy, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice. And it takes engagement from the whole community to get bills passed and signed into law. Second, it's all about the argument. So for example, we have a notary workforce attrition problem in California. We're down to 137,000 notaries to serve 40 million people. And so what that is causing is shrinking access because notaries who are currently in their commissions or people who are thinking about becoming notaries aren't going to do that if they don't think they can realize the costs that they face to serve the public. Now, that argument worked great here in California, but that same argument might not work so well in a place like Florida where there's 400,000 plus notaries. And last, I want to point out that the notary lobby isn't just a quiet, sleepy, siloed lobby anymore, as we have been for so very long. Because what we have proven, guys, is when we come together, advocacy works. Your letters matter, your calls matter, your emails matter, your social media posts matter. And most importantly, I hope you all learned that your voice truly does matter. So, with that now being well understood, I expect to see a lot more notaries taking part in policy decisions that affect you and your business in the near future. Because guess what, guys? The issues that we face, whether it's fee caps, education, notarial duties, compliance objectives, they're all ours for the taking, and we will together. That's all I have for today, guys. If you have any questions, I'll be here for the remainder of the call.
Matt, again, I don't know if you were able to see all the love that was coming your way as you were reading. Everybody was giving you claps and congratulations, but thank you for all the work that you did to get that bill raised. And I can't wait to see what you do in the future with other
There's more to
states.
come.
Oh, I know there is. I saw that passion in your eyes. I know you can't. It's unmistakable. I know this is going to be just the first step, and a lot of great things coming from you. So thank you for everything you did to get us all motivated to support that bill. So very, very excited, and I know we're ready to see some of that in some other states too. It's
Yes,
time for
ma'am.
a raise, right?
Mhm.
Thank you for that and for coming every quarter. You guys know Matt comes every quarter, gives us a legislative update. There is a lot going on, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing, I believe. So thank you, Matt, for keeping us informed and everything you did for California. All right, guys, you know how this works. We answer your questions because you have them for us. So raise your hands. Let us know what we can help you with. You will find your digital hand at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please go ahead and get those questions or get your hands raised and get in line for that. And while you're doing that, I just want to let you know that next week, um, Matt, on the heels of this major win, and Laura being the Notary of the Year, they are going to the National Association of Secretaries of State conference next week, no doubt celebrating this giant win while you're there. And so next week on TNT, we're still going to have it, but it is going to be marketing focused. My special guests are going to be from the NNA, and we're going to be talking all things marketing. So bring your marketing questions, your conundrums, your I don't know what to do about this. How do I follow up? All of those things, bring them next week, and we are going to be focusing on marketing next week. Who wants to get us kicked off with a question today? Go ahead and raise your hands. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to pull a question in, excuse me, from our panel questions here. Da, 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 da. Here's one for Laura. This is a notary in Virginia, but doesn't say their name. Virginia doesn't, as we know, Virginia doesn't require a journal, Laura. But this notary has kept them for the past 4 years anyway. How many years should I hold on to my notary journal? Is there a standard, and how should they be handled when we're gone?
Well, there is no standard for you because it wasn't a law to begin with. Matt, the new law of maintaining a journal, which is coming, is there
Uh, it starts July 1. I have to
and
look into the law to see what their retention
yeah,
value is. But yes, you will need to start retaining a journal effective immediately.
well, she's been doing it for 4 years.
Ah,
So her question is, how long should she hold on to it? And my recommendation is going to be whatever the retention schedule is that is coming. So
Hmm.
hold on to those journals and then find out how long you're expected to retain them and follow, and then those four would just follow whatever the new rule is.
I'm going to look right now, see if I can
And
find.
this is why we're so lucky to have someone like Matt on this call every week, keeping us updated on all of these new laws and changes and things that happen, because it really can just change overnight. But Shirley's got her hand raised. Hi, Shirley in Bozeman, Montana. What can we do for you?
Unmute. Can you hear
There you
me?
go. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. This was some great information, even though I live in Montana. But it makes me think about what might be coming eventually to Montana, and it raised a question to me about the thumbprint. If it eventually comes to Montana where I'm required, is there certain kind of training that the NNA has for fingerprint, or is that just something you do, or where would we get something like that so I'd be prepared?
So to capture a manual thumbprint
Yeah,
in the
whatever Matt
journal.
was talking about that's in
Yeah.
Arizona,
Uh-huh.
like for training to do that. I mean,
There's
is it?
no
Really?
there's no formal training on how to capture a thumbprint, but I can tell you what we do, and that is we buy like a single thumbprint pad. Looks like a little round disc. I don't have
Okay.
one here, but it looks like a little round disc. Then opens up like a
Inkless.
clamshell.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's called an inkless, which
not really, but
not really, but it's easy to get off is basically what that means. And basically you hand it to the signer and they squeeze it with their thumb face down on the ink pad. And then they take their thumb and they put it right in the box in the journal, straight down. And then I always, as a courtesy, would hand them like a little wet nap. And I'd buy single wrapped
Okay.
wet naps and hand that to them so that they can wipe it off. But now that I use the e-journal, I don't have to do that anymore. Now we have a little device where they just place their right thumb or their left thumb on a little glass window and it takes an image of their
yeah.
thumbprint and puts that in your journal entry for you. So that's kind of how we've done it in the past. And I'm assuming that's how Arizona notaries will do it. And California notaries will continue to do it either manually with ink or electronically if you're using an e-journal. It's very easy. It's not complicated. I think what's most important though is that notaries get into the habit of doing it, especially in states where it's now mandated, get into the habit of just asking for it for everything. That way you don't miss it. Because the thing is, guys, if you do miss it on a required document and you're audited, there are penalties for that. And in California, it's $750 per, no,
2,500.
2,500. That's right. Thumbs and guns, 2,500. $2,500 per occurrence.
If you've taken my class, you know what that is. If you know, you know.
Yeah, so just do it. Yeah, I mean you in Montana aren't required. So if you're in a state that doesn't require it, I don't
Yeah,
know if I would implement this because it might actually be prohibited. I think Texas
right.
is one of those states that doesn't allow
Texas, it's
biometrics.
I think
it's
Montana
prohibited.
does have, I don't know if it's just on the ID, they have something that's prohibited on the journal.
Yeah, I think it's the ID
The
number.
ID number, it might not be that. Yeah, I don't know that I would take the risk of carrying biometrics in my journal unless I was required to do so in the first place.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I would do.
but
And the other thing is that we don't need to roll
right, you just
the print. You just push it down and they get the meat of the thumb there, and then we get the pattern. When we roll it, it can create eligibility.
yeah, just
And
like
the
a
other
stamp.
thing is I keep a little what's that stuff called?
Corn Huskers lotion.
Corn huskers, thank you. Corn huskers lotion, little travel size bottle, because sometimes their prints don't look good. So if I see their hand, I look at their hands first and I see it's dry, I'm going to give them a little dab of that they can rub in. And that will make all the difference. If you don't have it, then a little water to just rub in to make their thumb, the skin on the thumb less dry.
But surely, to your point, you said when you first unmuted that,
Right.
these things are coming. Yes, they are. If you listen to what I just said, two states have now adopted things that we're already doing here in California because they work. So
Yeah.
we're probably going to see a lot of this stuff start to roll out across the nation because the deed fraud problem, unfortunately, isn't going away. In fact, it's so bad that I'm sitting on a committee with the Uniform Law Commission trying to write legislation that the states can implement, and a lot of it is notary specific. So there's stuff coming.
Okay, thank you. And
You're
then
welcome.
if I have time, I have another general notary
Sure.
question.
Go for it.
Okay, when I'm notarizing, say, a will, and there's a couple of witnesses, am I also notarizing the witnesses' signatures or only the signer's signature? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I do know what you're asking, and it depends on what's presented to you. So, if there isn't anything presented to you and they're just signing with the two witnesses and they're saying, but I want you to notarize my signature, it's up to the signer to determine just their signature, and the witness's signature, whose signature do you want notarized? So that direction is going to come from them. Some wills will have an affidavit that goes with it. And a self-proving affidavit is where typically the signer and the two witnesses sign that affidavit, and all three of their signatures are going to be notarized. And that's used in the probate process. And it says this document proves they were real people, they've already been identified, we don't need to go chasing after them. So that's the other way that it could happen. So look at document instructions or ask your signer, because it's not the determination of the notary whose signature needs to be notarized.
Okay, then the next question is, if it's determined that their signature needs to be notarized, do I also have them sign my journal?
If you're performing a notarial act, all notarial acts go in the journal. Do you maintain a journal in Montana?
I do. I have a
Then
hard copy.
then yes, the answer is yes. Any person, the witness becomes a signer when
Yeah,
you're notarizing their signature. So then all signers go in the journal.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks for
And
your
I love your
question,
book.
Shirley.
I just finished Laura's book.
Awesome. Now
It's
you got to go back to
wonderful.
Amazon
Thank
and
you.
leave a review.
Oh, I'm gonna leave an
Thank you.
amazing review. It's gonna be a
Amazing.
resource book for me. It's
It is.
Great.
amazing.
It
I
really
wanted to highlight all the spots, and I realized I would have to highlight the whole book.
is.
It's
I
so
love
good.
that. Wait,
That's a
wait, write
great
that in the
review.
review.
Write
That's what
that
I'm
in the
gonna put
review.
in the review. Yep.
That's the review.
That's
Highlight it all.
it. That's it. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. All right, guys, who else has a question for us? Let me go back here to our question form. Uh, let's see. Let's continue the conversation about witnesses. It is now a requirement that witnesses add their addresses in addition to their signature and printed names on deeds. Notaries in Florida are allowed to act in the capacity of notary and one of the witnesses. My question is, what can I do if I do not want to use my personal address for this purpose? I know that I don't have to be a witness, but it's hard enough to find one witness, let alone two, for a signer that doesn't have any. So, Laura, what do you say to that? How do you respond to
Well,
that?
I would look to the law to say what address did it specify? It has to be my home address. Can it be my business address or a PO
Mhm.
box address? Um, I would look to see if the law specified what address had to be. And if it didn't say my residence address, then I'd use another address.
Got it. Yeah. And I think that's where, like if you have a UPS box at the USPS at the UPS store or something like that, that's where that kind of stuff comes in handy if you want to keep your address ultra private. But I mean, I do understand that as well. So,
Yeah.
Daniel, my friend and Daniel has his hand up. I need to know before you ask your question though, Daniel, are you going to go to the Oregon conference this year?
I am not only going, I am sponsoring, and I will be hosting a pizza party the night of the 12th at,
Nice.
at Pietro's in Salem. So I'll get to finally meet live some of my mentors, heroes, and so forth. I'm looking so forward to it. So
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear it.
we're looking forward to that. Hey, I want to, and by the way, since you're pushing books, let's not talk. Let's not forget about the book of customer service here, which is also available out there, and will be available at the conference. Actually,
There you
uh,
go.
I want to talk about the scam. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay, because I know we've been talking about it pretty much every week now for the last month or so, and it's really been hitting. I mean, they're really coming on
yeah, they
strong
are.
now. My first question is, I mean, I am. I've had two of these that look scammy that actually got me signings, which means um, they're not all. They might look scammy, but they may not be. So what I designed was I designed an email response that says, "Hey, can you give me some more detail what you're looking for? There's a scam going around. Can you give me the zip code at least of where you want me to go?" And then if they come back with a Zoom call, then I now know. Oh yeah, we want to do it over Zoom. We want you to do a remote using our Zoom session, which of course there's no such thing as that. We have to have the platform. So now what? I mean, do I just block the address forever, or do I need to report these? Do I need to go through a process? Now that we've decided that this one is not going to be one, this is a scammy email. Typically, they're coming from uh, Notary Rotary, Find a Notary. They're coming from directories. They're not coming from my website. They're not coming from Google. They're coming from the directory, so they can hit a lot of us at once that way.
Mhm.
What should we be doing? And this is probably a Matt question more than anything. What should we be doing once we've determined that this email is 99% part of this super scam that they're hitting us up with?
Well,
And there's a follow up to that too.
yeah, you could certainly block the email. Behind the scenes, the website team on the Cal Notary's website has been trying to block emails, block IP addresses that we've determined are definitely scammers. The problem is we end up just spinning our wheels because they create a new email address, they'll create a new IP address. So that's not really helping. I think the best thing to do is what you're doing. Do a little screening, find out if they are a real person. What I have found that I learned from this call a couple weeks ago, in fact, is if I get an email that looks a little weird, I simply reply with, "Hey, could you give me a call? Here's my number." And if it's real, they will call you. If it's not, they're not going to call you. But really, the best thing we can do as a community, and I'm seeing it more and more on the socials and everywhere else, is letting everybody know that this is going on. That way, we as a community can kind of squash it, and eventually they will move on. However, I have seen Facebook Reel posts from folks in other industries that are experiencing the same exact scam. So it is widespread, guys. But I think awareness is your best tool to fight this.
And my follow up is if I was taking this all the way and my scam hackles weren't up the whole time, what are they trying to gain from me? Because is there an end game for this scam, or is it just a matter of screwing with our time?
It's a phishing scam. And if they get enough information from you or they get what they want from you, they'll then, do some kind of ransomware situation where you're going to pay them money for whatever it is they want to get your data back, to hush them about something they found out about you or whatever it is. But it always comes down to money. It always comes down to money.
Yeah,
And,
follow
and
the money.
and I found the key to be when they respond with, "Can we do a Zoom session to talk about it?" And they want to give you their Zoom address. And at that point, I'm just done. At that point, we're now I'm blocking them. We're not going to ever talk again. But okay, well, that answers quite a bit of it.
Well, Dan,
I,
I think there's a couple other things too. I want to point out that the NNA is asking us to let them know too, and I reposted that in the chat for everybody. Let them know on their contact form. And I'm not sure who runs Notary Rotary, but if there's a way to get in touch with the person that controls that, maybe making them aware that that is what their directory is being used for, so that perhaps they can come up with a solution on their end as well. But I love how you're just saying it. There's a major scam going on. I need to talk to you on the phone. I mean, and like that's gonna get rid of a lot of your scammers anyway. And think about the type of information that you have on your computer. You could potentially have loan applications, which has every single bit of a person's personal financial information on it. That's what they're getting to. That's the gold,
yeah.
is if they can access on, because you've been negligent and keeping everything tight, they're trying to get in and get that kind of information as well.
Well, certainly, I'm not going to click on any links.
Yeah.
And
It's
I always ask them this. I like asking them the zip code because if they give me typically I'll get an Oregon zip code that doesn't exist. Uh,
mhm.
the same one three times actually. So it was 97021. I'm like, okay, you're a
Yeah.
scam. That doesn't exist. I know every zip code in Oregon, so I can tell you where each. I can drive each one of them for you.
Yeah.
So okay, well, I tell you what, everybody just be totally aware. And now we've got a place to report them. But it's really it turned into a bit of a time suck for me uh,
Sure.
because I'm feeling like, hey, I only get a couple of signings a day, and I'm only part time. So let's
Yeah.
make let's make some use of let's not just be sucking down our time all the time. Hey, everybody, have a great week.
Thanks, Dan. And I wanted to let you know too, Dan, I put the link to your customers, the book of customer service in the chat. If anybody wants to check out that awesome book, it's another great notary resource. And Laura, did you have anything that you wanted to add? You're on
On
mute.
mute.
Still on mute. There you go.
Only report to the NNA ones that came from Find a Notary or
Yeah.
Signing Agent. They can't do anything about Notary Rotary or any other directory, so don't bother them with those. They're trying to work it through the back end of their own system.
Do we know how to get in touch with powers that be at Notary Rotary? Is that
Well, contact support, I
I
Yeah,
would
think
expect.
that's owned by the shoemakers. I don't know of a public
I,
email address
I do
directly
believe
to
I
them.
do believe that fishing at Notary Rotary get you to something.
say that
There
again,
you go.
Daniel?
I do believe that fishing with a PH at Notary Rotary, I think, gets you something.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
saying they have an email address with that.
Yeah. So
It ain't their first rodeo. If they've
Yeah.
set up a phishing email address, it means that they've been dealing with it for years.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, so if you guys see something coming in through Notary Rotary that's a scam, please let them know. And that goes for any other company. Go to the source and let them know. And you're not
Right.
bothering them. You're doing them a favor. Yes, they may already know, but if they don't, you're helping them. So please, if you see it, it's just like anything else. If you see something, say something, right?
Right, we don't
Exactly.
know unless you
Awesome.
tell us.
Yeah, they absolutely don't know. And this is definitely something we need them to know. So, all right, guys, let's get those hands raised so we can continue to answer your questions. Here we go, Laura. As a newly commissioned notary public in New York, where can I find a mentor and or classes that can provide mock scenarios and hands-on experience prior to me taking notarizations of my own?
Well, there are quite a few communities out there, and I'm sure one of those is going to work for you. And depending on what kind of scenarios, Notary Stars is a good community
Hmm.
to go to. Um, the NNA is not going to help you in that way. That's not their purpose. You can bring things to Laura's Inner Circle, and I can help you on Saturday mornings with that. Um, New York has the New York Alliance, Marcy Tiberio.
Hmm.
That's a good community, especially because it's right in your own state. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, and this call, keep coming to this
Oh,
call.
mhm.
I think I wrote this question down. I took this from the submission form because it sort of reminded me a question from, I think, last week where somebody was talking about shadowing.
Mhm.
And I really think that's the answer they want to hear is like shadow somebody so that, because they're trying to get rid of that fear of doing their first, having
Mhm.
their first appointment, and that makes sense. But it's frowned upon to do that, first of all. And I think it's important that we all understand when you first do something, you are going to be scared. That's why you take the training, right? Find the reputable people. And if you don't know if something's reputable or not, bring it here, raise your hand and ask us, and we will tell you our honest opinion. If we think if it's good training or not. But as far as a mock signing, Laura, you actually have something on Coach Me Laura, don't you?
I do have a mock signing specific to loan signings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're looking for a mock signing for loan signings, the Coach Me Laura website can help. And if you are looking for a mock signing for trust delivery, that's where the CNTDA program can help. Because, of course, we have a full blank trust package that you can print out, walk through, practice as many times as you want, including what a mock signing looks like, starring Laura B. Ware and Matt Miller.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
But bring your own popcorn.
It is. It is. All right, guys. What other questions do we have today? Don't forget, you guys got to come next week and help support me on the call. I'm going to be by myself with the NNA, no pressure. So you guys need to come with your marketing questions. Um, let's see. Oh, Brian's got a question for us. Hey, Brian. Brian's out in California.
Hi there.
Hey.
Going back to the witnesses, on the witnesses for the journal entry, is
Yeah.
it, you don't need to have their thumbprint for a witness in California unless it's a power of attorney, right?
You don't need a thumbprint from a witness ever. The thumbprint
Okay.
requirement is for the signer,
Mm.
not the witnesses.
Because I've been doing what you call it, where I get the witness's thumbprint too as a standard practice in my business.
I don't recommend getting a thumbprint from somebody for whom I'm not required to get it, because now I'm holding their biometric in my journal.
Okay,
So,
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, the Secretary of State would consider that over collection.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's what Laura said, you're carrying those biometrics around. It could, if something
More
happens to your
responsibility.
journal. Yeah, I mean, so it makes sense. Sometimes doing a little extra isn't the way to go, right? But thank you for that question. Let's see. This is a question about FedEx locations inside Walgreens and CVS stores. And I thought this was important because, boy, is this tempting to do sometimes. She says, I have never dropped off at these locations, but I have asked these stores what their pickup times are and if they do daily pickups. The stores I have seen said they all pick up daily and they pick up before 5 and they can give you a receipt. I'm curious about these stores because I could drop docs off the night before or before school in the morning. What are your thoughts?
Well, unless you can't do it, I do not drop off in boxes. I go to people and I give them the package. So it's in their hand, it's hand to hand, and they give me a receipt. And that's how I do it. And I realize that there may be some people who live in a very rural area where perhaps that's not possible for them. Then, of course, having a location that provides a receipt would be the one I would go to instead of one that doesn't. That is just a box.
Yeah, so this is a story that has nothing to do with the notary business, but a very good friend of mine, Matt, Laura, you met her too, Molly, when she was out in California with us. She was, I can't remember the exact scenario, but I do remember it was like a $3 million deal or something. And somebody dropped the signature pages of the contracts at a local CVS or Walgreens, just, like they had to go there anyway to buy something for their kids. And so they just dropped it in there thinking it'll be fine. It's safe. It didn't fall all the way to the bottom and somehow got stuck on the inside of the box. And they could never find this paperwork to, sign off on this major deal. And they ended up, retracing steps and had to take the box apart and all that. Just, it took months to find this. That's not going to fly with a title company.
No.
That is not
Hand it to
going to
a
fly.
person. Yeah, hand it
Yes.
to a person.
Yeah, and I can't see how Walgreens would be able to give you a receipt from that box. Unless you're, and like I know they have the FedEx boxes that you can scan and drop, but I'm not sure how they would be able to give you a receipt. It just seems dangerous. So I would say no on that one. Do you ever use them, Laura?
No, because I have the ability. I have 3 or 4 different depots near
Mhm.
me, and
Yeah.
I have an actual FedEx hub that I can go up to 7 o'clock at night. So there's
Yeah.
just really no reason for me to drop in a box at all.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes convenience is not the criteria to make a decision, especially when it's important paperwork like that. And, homes are being funded and all of that with it. So, Melissa in California has a question. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, hi. Years ago, I asked at the Walgreens, and they said they scan it, but that just scans it into their um, department, let's say, but it doesn't actually get scanned till the FedEx guy actually comes and
Mhm.
scans it to get tracking. So it could
Yeah.
still get lost between there. And then I noticed that if a FedEx is running late, those are the places they're going to skip, and they're going to go to
Yes.
hubs first.
Yes, they're going to go to the FedEx stores first, right? There's a priority
Right.
there. And yes, they can get skipped. That's an excellent point I didn't even think about, Melissa. Thanks for bringing that up. Dan says in the chat, if I cannot get a receipt, I do not drop there. And I think that's a good rule of thumb to follow. Luz, hello. Remind me what state you're calling from.
Florida.
Florida. What can we do for you
Yeah.
today?
I was just, mine isn't much of a question, but just going back what the other notary was asking about acting as a witness and having to use the address. You don't
Mhm.
have to, as being a notary, you don't have to use your home address. You can use either your work address or P.O. box. The notary
In
acting as a
Florida.
witness in Florida. If the
Yes.
Yeah.
notary's acting as a witness on those signing documents, you do not have to put your residential address. You can use either your work address that you use if you have an office
Right.
or a P.O. box address that is yours.
Where you can receive mail.
Yeah.
Yes, wherever you
Laura,
receive your mail.
Laura, help me understand why you wouldn't put your address as a notary.
I
Like,
do put well, first of all, when I witness a document, I do put my own personal residence address. I don't
yeah.
have an issue. You know what? I'm a notary public. My life is very public. Anybody could
Mhm.
look me up and find me with my name. So why am I so going to be so worried about that? I'm
Mhm.
not. So there isn't any reason for me personally to not put my name and address when I witness a will or some other document that needs to be witnessed. So I don't know. Some
It's just a
notaries,
personal decision.
yeah, personal decision.
Also,
They're not comfortable with it.
yeah, me personally, I don't, due to the fact that I'm a parent to law enforcement.
Mm.
My children are in law enforcement. And
Hmm.
also because I've worked for revenue as for child enforcement, so I'm under a protected class for the state of
Hmm.
Florida under the
And
Sunshine Law.
yeah, that makes
So
sense. I
that
totally get
so
that. Yeah.
so when it comes to that situation, also being a notary public, that's where the personal address needs to be separated. So like my work address or a PO box is fine because I am a
Sure.
notary, but I've been doing it for years. But that's one of the reasons why, at least for me personally, I'd
Yeah.
never put
Right.
my home address for those two
So,
purposes.
so it's a personal decision.
Personal decision.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Every
not only
notary
personal,
has a
but
different.
security, but also for security reasons because I'm under protected status under the Sunshine Law.
I
My
understand
my
that. I
Yeah.
understand that, but there are different levels of security that other notaries might feel
Don't
it
have. Yeah.
necessary
mhm.
to not have their personal address on anything. As a matter of fact, they may not want it even in my journal because they've got a restraining order on somebody and they don't
Hmm.
want any possibility on that person getting their information where they live. So it's a personal decision based on whatever their reason is, whether it is because they work in law enforcement, their family to law enforcement, or because they have some other personal reason
Yeah.
why they feel uncomfortable with having their personal address. And I do have a work address, physical address, and I have a PO box. So I have multiple addresses I can look to. Mhm.
All right, guys. It is already quarter out
Oh,
or quarter
goodness.
past the hour. I'm not sure where the time went today. We had all those great updates, Matt, and thank you guys so much today for joining us. Matt, especially thank you for all your legislative updates. If you guys are interested in the work that Matt is doing, I encourage you to go follow calnotaries.org, subscribe, sign up. It is not just for California notaries, it is for notaries nationwide. So thank you, Matt, today for your awesome quarterly legislative update, and congratulations again on the California bill passing. What a huge accomplishment that is. So I'm going to do what I do every week. Well, first, I'm going to remind you to come next week with all your marketing questions and support the call because NNA is going to be on here. And I'd be just me luck, like nobody shows up for that call, right? So you guys got to come out in full force for me next week. But every week, I put Laura Bewer on the spot for her to close us out with some inspiration. So, Laura, what you got for us today?
Well, success is not reserved for those who are already ahead. It is available to anyone who decides.
Ooh,
So it's all about success is all about making that decision because that
I
decision means taking action.
I could not agree more. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.